All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our session. My name is Chris Bezdedeanu. I am the recruitment specialist for both the College of Arts and Sciences and the Maxwell School of Citizenship and Public Affairs here at Syracuse University. I want to thank all of you for being able to join us tonight. I'm joined by a couple folks from not our main campus, but actually down in Washington, D.C. And so we're here tonight to talk about, of course, our Maxwell-in-Washington undergraduate semester. I myself am an alum of Syracuse. I got my degree in policy studies and also did the DC semester during my time in my undergraduate program. However, I'm joined by our current Associate Dean, Andrew London, of the program, as well as two students, Nathan and Catherine. So without further ado, I'd actually like to turn it over to them to introduce themselves, and then we'll go ahead and get started.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to go ahead, Catherine, jump in.
Oh, so sorry about that. I should have known you were gonna go first. But anyway, hi everyone. My name is Catherine. I'm a current senior here at Syracuse, and I'm a double major in policy studies and public relations. So I'm in both our Maxwell School and then our SI Newhouse School of Public Communications.
Nathan, why don't you go?
Yeah, sounds good. Hello, everyone. My name is Nathan. I'm currently a junior at Syracuse University. I'm majoring in political science, citizenships of engagement, and law society and policy with a minor in communication and rhetorical studies. And I'm excited to tell you guys all about this program.
And hi, everyone. I'm Andrew London. I am the Associate Dean for Maxwell's programs in Washington, D.C., and also a professor in the sociology department. Been at Syracuse since 2002 and been in the dean's office working with the dean and his other associate deans in one capacity or another for the last 8 years. But I took over the portfolio in Washington about a year and a half ago and have been down here in DC since then.
Awesome. So tonight, the four of us are going to share some more information with you all about the DC program. We're going to talk about things like coursework, and then, of course, the big focus of this program is the internship experience, but also a number of other sort of logistical details and some of the professional development opportunities you guys might have as well. At any time, however, if you do have a question that you'd like either myself, Professor London, or Nathan or Catherine to answer, you should each have a Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. If not, it may be under the More tab. Please use that to submit any questions you have for us. And towards the end of our presentation, we'll get to answering those live here this evening as well. But in the meantime, without further ado, so first off, why Washington, D.C.? Why should you all consider doing this program? And so, Professor London, could you maybe give us a little bit of an introduction to the program itself and just sort of a bird's eye view of what our prospective students can expect from this type of experience?
Absolutely. So I'm going to use a Hamilton, the Broadway show Hamilton analogy to kind of kick off my remarks. I often tell students that it's important to be in the room where it's happening. And that means being in DC and learning how Washington works, talking to people here, seeing for yourself the different institutions and talking to people in those places to find out what they actually do and how they're engaged in the policy process. Not everybody wants a career in Washington, D.C., or a career that in some ways connects to Washington, D.C. But if you do, the Washington internship is an incredibly important sort of stepping stone. People look for that in your resume, in your academic development. It provides you an opportunity to network, to start to meet people, to develop opportunities. I think you'll hear more about that from Nathan and Catherine and from Chris, because they all have those experiences. And so getting to have the opportunity to experience for yourself the way that governance and governing institutions work, the way people talk about the work that they do, is incredibly important. Our courses are all offered in the evening because almost all of our students, not everyone, but virtually everyone, does an internship during the day. This could be on Capitol Hill, could be in a non-governmental organization, could be in the State Department, it could be in a business or a law firm. So students are doing internships all across the DC space and looking at the way Washington works from many different perspectives. So we anchor the program in the internship experience, and then offer courses in the evening that are taught by scholar practitioners, people who are working in DC during the day, and bring that experience into the classroom. We focus on skill development, leadership, how to sort of operate in the DC space so that you're developing some of the skills that if you decide to come back to DC for a career, you've already sort of had that, launch while you're an undergraduate. So DC is a great, the nation's capital. Any capital city has an incredible array of resources and institutions. The Smithsonian is here. It's free. You can just walk in because you get a free half hour and walk out again. You don't have to worry about paying a $30 entrance fee and spending 7 hours until your feet, are hurting so much you can barely stand up. You can just wander around and wander in and out of places. It's just an exciting cultural place, a lot going on. And so having that experience, I think, is just an incredibly valuable way to learn, because so much learning happens outside of the classroom, and DC is that kind of place where you get a ton of knowledge just by being here. So that's just a little bit from me. I'm sure Nathan and Catherine and Chris have lots more to say about this.
Yeah. Catherine, if we can start with you, what was sort of your reason for wanting to do the DC program during your time at Syracuse, or what sort of drew you to the program initially now that you've been there for a few months?
Yeah, of course. So I have always kind of known that I wanted to try to land in DC and kind of work with the federal government after graduation. So the DC program was kind of a like no-brainer on that front. And I really wanted to come here, especially as a first semester like senior. So I graduate in May, and this experience has been wonderful because I really get to immerse myself in this city before I graduate. And I've really kind of started my job search while I've been here. As Professor London really talked about, this is a city where, networking is super important. And especially in the DC world, your network is really kind of what's going to get you a job. And so I've been able to be here this semester, and I also had the privilege of being here over the summer. So I've really kind of gotten to lay the groundwork of my network, and I feel so much more prepared to be able to get a job. So I kind of got to start, with a Maxwell education and learn about public policy, back at Syracuse, do a few internships, and now I get to learn here and learn about a wide variety of different policy issues in my internship as well as in my classes. So it's really been an overall like amazing experience. 10 out of 10. I would do it again in a heartbeat because I just feel so much more prepared to kind of go and, live life post grad after this experience.
Awesome. And Nathan, how about you?
Yeah, so for me, as a political science major, like I always learn about these organizations and the Senate and the Congress in classes, but I kind of want to step outside of that and actually be there and learn from it in person. And that's kind of what the Maxwell-in-Washington, D.C. program did for me. Because of our staff here, they helped me get an internship with the current Senate Majority Leader and with Senator Schumer. And I get to just see how things work. I'm going to hearings, I'm taking notes, I'm doing escorts, which kind of really living the actual experience. I just walk by and I'll see like the HRC or ACLU. It's kind of like surreal because I've been reading about these places, been using these places for research, and I'm actually like seeing them and talking to people from these businesses and organizations. Also gave me a chance to kind of feel like I'm more maturing. I'm working kind of a 9 to 6 right now, really getting my little taste of adult life, so I'm more ready for it in the future. And just like Kat said, I would do this in a heartbeat, and I am doing it in a heartbeat because I'm going to come back this upcoming summer, doing the program again and going to intern somewhere else, just kind of have an even better experience with all the knowledge I already collected from this semester.
And I heard your boss was recently reelected as the Democratic leader in the Senate. So
Yes, he
congratulations
did.
to him as well. There you go. All right. Well, outside of internships, which we'll get to talking about in just a second, a really core focus of the DC program, what we've kind of heard about already, is actually taking classes taught by professors of practice. And so oftentimes we do have full-time faculty teaching many of our courses here at Syracuse, but the really neat thing about our DC program is that oftentimes you're going to have folks that work in this space, whether in the policy space or nonprofit or any type of other space in DC. And they're also lending some time in the evenings to teach some classes to some of our Syracuse students as well. So this is I believe, tentative schedule for the upcoming spring semester. Professor London, could you give us, again, maybe a little bit of a bird's eye view of the types of courses that we usually offer through the DC program, and maybe what the thought process is behind offering such a wide variety of these different types of courses?
Yeah, I mean, our goal is to bring students here. So as you may or may not know, for those who are just thinking about the Maxwell School, Maxwell School includes all of the social science departments: anthropology, economics, geography, history, political science, sociology, geography and the environment, under one roof, along with the applied policy programs, policy studies, environment, sustainability, and policy, some of our interdisciplinary programs. So that's all under one roof here. And we want to make the Washington semester, it's a full 15 credit semester. Students usually do 15 credits while they're here. Some of it is their internship, but some of it is these evening classes. We want the Washington semester to appeal to students all across the Maxwell School. Traditionally, our emphasis has been on international relations, and we've brought a lot of international relations and political science students down here. But we've tried to broaden that out so that more of the students that have interest in education policy or housing policy or healthcare policy are coming to DC more and more. And so we're offering more courses that have a domestic policy focus. So for example, law, policy, and national security really has a domestic policy focus to it. The Domestic Federal Policy Seminar on Friday is a complement to the Global Policy Seminar. This is a 6-credit all-day immersion that we offer on Fridays. The professors who teach it will frame issues for students to read about and discuss from multiple perspectives. We'll bring in guest speakers from different places in DC, and then you go out and do field trips to different locations. So in the Global Policy Seminar, students went to the Chinese embassy and were hosted there by staff at the embassy and the Ukrainian embassy to hear about things that are really current and going on. They went to the Pentagon, to Capitol Hill, other places. The Domestic Policy Seminar, students might go to the National Institutes of Health. They might go to some of the departments of labor and places like that that are focused more on domestic policy issues that students are interested in. So again, we're trying to cater to a broad range of student interests. We're also partnered, fortunate enough here to have a partner called the Institute for Democracy, Journalism, and Citizenship, which is a joint enterprise between the Newhouse School of Public Communications and the Maxwell School of Citizenship and Public Affairs. And they're offering, some of the faculty that are there are offering courses that are available to our students as well, such as the psychology of political communication. And jointly, Newhouse, Maxwell, the IDJC are creating events that we can invite our students to kind of enhance their experience, to introduce them to new topics, to get them thinking about things in new and different ways. So this is what we have on offer for next semester. We have, I believe, 36 students coming down from the Maxwell School and another bunch of students coming down from the Newhouse School. And so it'll be a very exciting semester. We're bringing some new faculty on to teach some of these classes, and we're excited to see how it all works out.
Catherine and Nathan, any favorite courses you've taken throughout the semester so far, or any interesting guest speakers you've had come in to speak to your classes as well, maybe?
You want to go, Kat? Okay, wait, I'll go. So I'm taking 2 of these classes. I'm taking the Global Issues, Narrative Diplomacy and War, and the Global Policy Seminar 1 and 2. Both of them absolutely amazing. I was a little scared going into this, thinking a full-time, like essentially job and classes, but these professors are super, super understanding. They understand that you're working this full-time, and while you are learning and actively doing assignments, they understand if you need a little bit of an extension, like they're going to understand, they're going to let you have that extension, and they're going to help you through it. For the global issues, that's taught by Professor Hawk. I absolutely love her, and everyone in that class absolutely loves her. She is really go with the flow. She has an amazing insight. She's been on CNN multiple times. as an analyst, and she just makes sure that you feel valued in class and that you're actually learning this important information. One of my favorite classes I've ever taken. I'm actually going to really miss her in the future. And then Professor Armstrong, I have that class tomorrow. We're doing our final presentations. He is so funny, yet so knowledgeable. He's had almost 1 million lives, maybe even 1 million past names with those little secret identities. Just a great guy, always learning from him, always kind of inspired by the work he's done. He has these amazing connections. We've been talked to by people in the UN. Like Professor London said, we've been talking to the Pentagon, to the State Department, just absolutely everywhere. And I have now just kind of a better whole encompass knowledge of what everything in DC does because of this man.
He's a former CIA analyst, which is why we wonder sometimes if it's his real name or not. So
Yeah, so to kind of follow up on that, out of this class list, I am in the democracy, journalism, and citizenship class. And then the professor that's teaching the psychology of political communication actually guest lectured in that class. I have the benefit of also being a Newhouse student, which is super unique. And the Newhouse program is a lot newer, but I'm actually getting to fulfill a bunch of requirements through that program and really kind of get a look at kind of the Newhouse and the Maxwell perspective while I've been here. So in the democracy, journalism and citizenship class, we have had a ton of really, really cool guest speakers, including our professor is Margaret Talev. She's a current CNN political analyst as well as a contributor in Axios. And she kind of like knows everyone and like is just kind of like an all-encompassing just knowledge, if that makes sense. So she's really given us a ton of insight into kind of democracy, journalism and citizenship. For our first class, we learned about democracy and baseball and how they're connected. We got to go to a Nationals game. We've also gotten to go, I know we went to Fox Corporation and actually got to meet their director of FCC compliance. So we kind of got to learn about how do you approve political ads to go on air at things like football games and all that kind of stuff. So that was a really cool kind of like shift in perspective I'd never had. And then last week or 2 weeks ago, I actually got to go with a different class and we met the Secretary of Veterans Affairs, which was super, super cool. And we actually got to also meet their press secretary. And it was like a smaller class of like 5 people. And we got to go up to the secretary's office. We had like a little like lunch with him. It was kind of the craziest experience I've ever had, but it was so valuable. Like he is a very, very cool guy. So I think the experiential learning of getting to be in this city, like it's so easy to just go on a field trip to like Capitol Hill. Like I know Nathan actually got me gallery passes for the Senate. So we got to go and sit on like right by the Senate floor and just watch them vote on judicial like confirmation. So that was just like there's just so many opportunities to have cool experiences here and like the classes only enable you to do that further, which I think is awesome. And I can say that a lot of the classes on this list, like federal policymaking process, like that, all that stuff, I know that class is going to be so cool because you're here and you really get to experience it. So yeah.
I just want to add one thing if I can just jump in, Chris.
Yeah, go for it.
So, we talk about majors and minors because that's some of the sort of way that we organize academic careers in undergraduate. A minor in most disciplines is 18 credits. It might have some required courses, but you can come to DC and do 15 credits of, say, international relations program courses. And if you do one or two other required courses on main campus sometime during the rest of your time as an undergraduate, you would complete a minor in international relations. So if you're an economics major, why not have an international relations minor? Like you heard what Nathan's doing. He's got like 3 majors and a minor. Like put a complex and interesting program of study together. And in one semester in DC, you can do most of the minor. And we cross-list a lot of these courses with political science now. So maybe you want to do a political science minor. You can get almost all of it done with a couple of addition, with a little advising and care and how you choose your courses. You can end up with another credential at the end of this as a result of doing this semester in DC. That's, I think, an added benefit that I wish more students were taking advantage of. So that's why I wanted to mention it.
Yeah, absolutely. typically how many classes would a student take during the DC semester on top of their internship?
So internships are either 3 or 6 credits, depending on how many hours the internship is. So if the internship is 32 hours or more, which would be 4 days a week or 5 days a week, then a student could get 6 credits for that experience. And then most students do 15 credits. They would then take, on top of the internship, they would take the 6 credit Friday class. So then they would, if they had a 3 credit internship and the Friday class, that would be 9 credits. So then they would take 2 classes in the evening to kind of round that out. It could be that they're doing a 6 credit internship, the Friday class, and only doing 1 class in the evening to get to 15 credits. You have to, for financial aid reasons and otherwise, you have to be full-time. So that means that you're doing at least 11 credits or generally 12 credits the way that we're organized. So you would be doing 4 or 5 courses.
Yeah. Sounds like there's some flexibility too, given maybe how long students are spending in an internship versus, like you said, the Friday class and then some of the evening ones as well. So
Absolutely. Yep.
all right. And now for, I think, maybe arguably one of the main focuses of this program is the internship experiences. So we've heard a little bit about them already, but Nathan and Kat, if you could maybe start us off talking a little bit more about your internship, if you can share sort of what you've been up to, what's been the best part so far, maybe something you've learned from that experience to sort of tell our audience.
Yeah, of course. So this semester I'm interning at a government relations firm. So I'm in the private sector and it's called Brownstein Hyatt Farber Schreck. So it's like a huge name, like just so long. Like it's such a mouthful. But the really cool part about working there is it's like a law firm. Like there's a bunch of different branches in a bunch of different cities, but here they do kind of government relations. So working with different companies to talk with the government. This can be something like, hey, like there's a regulation coming out. We want to, comment on it before it comes out. Or there's this piece of legislation that would really help us do business. Let's go talk to a senator, maybe Senator Schumer if we're lucky with Nathan, and, see if we can talk to him about how this would benefit us and, benefit New York and New York State. So it's been really cool. As for the work that I do, so we interns do a lot of the support work. And what this looks like is we watch a ton of congressional hearings. And the really cool part about my internship is it's not specifically policy focused. So previously, a lot of the work that I have done is with housing, transportation, and infrastructure policy. So that's kind of my like issue area that I'm more of an expert in. But this internship, I do everything. So like one day I'll cover a hearing on healthcare, and the next day I'll be working on a project for our international team. So I really have gotten to do a little bit of everything. And a lot of what I'm doing is, for example, the other day, I was working with our tax team to look at clean energy tax credits in the Inflation Reduction Act and how the next administration could end up handling that. I've done research on different federal agency programs. I've done research on what senators or representatives have introduced legislation on the infant formula shortage. So I've really done a wide variety of different things at this internship. And it's been amazing because I've worked internships in the past where it's kind of been like we do one issue area and we stick to it. And that's been great because you really get to become an expert in that issue area. But this has been a great learning experience for me because I've really just kind of gotten a very baseline level knowledge on a lot of different policy areas. And also working at a bipartisan firm during an election year is just an unmatched experience because I really kind of get to see the process of what's going on, here in Washington. What's the pulse check? What is everybody feeling? And how are they, kind of just pivoting to go from one administration to the next? It's just been kind of an unmatched experience. And I'm also just very glad that I got to come here during an election year because it's just like, it's a time you really want to be here in DC. And it's been super exciting. And I'm really, really happy with where I ended up landing to intern this semester.
Yeah, and so for me, like I said, I'm with the Senate Majority Leader currently, Senator Schumer. It's just so much at once, so I can try to get through all of it. Some of the tasks I do are attending hearings. I've done hearings about AI, education, environment, really anything I want to kind of dip my toe into, they allow me to. I just send an email to one of the staff. hey, can I attend this hearing and write a memo for you? They always say yes. I get to go sit there, watch the senators grill some people. It's really fun. Sometimes they get in some heated arguments, always fun to watch. I also do escorts, gotten to do some good escorts, show people around, give tours. I've almost perfected my tour at this point. Hopefully Kat can agree. And just kind of everything under the sun. You do some small administration tasks, maybe run to get spoons for the office, or at the same time, you're going to these big lobbying meetings with lobbyists with your LD. One of the kind of cool, unique experience I got is when I went into this internship, I was kind of the education and human rights intern, but all of a sudden they needed someone to know who knew AI. So in this one semester, I've kind of become like the AI intern. AI is now like one of my biggest fortes. I think I might like it more than education and human rights at this point. AI is just so fascinating to me and how it bleeds into every single other issue. It can bleed into human rights. It can bleed into education. It's kind of this all-encompassing issue that I'm now super passionate about because of this internship. Also, just some fun things. The Senate has great food. It's subsidized too, so there's no taxes on it. There's a froyo machine that sees me a little too often. Some celebrities sometimes visit the Capitol to kind of give speeches. I've seen Bill Nye and Jamie Foxx just recently, which has been an amazing experience to kind of see these people walking around just to meet with the senators. And overall, you're just really learning a lot all at once. I would say just being in this internship, I've had some of the most vast knowledge. I've learned stuff, like I said, from environment all the way to AI, all the way to immigration, just anything I want to learn about. It's super easy to. At the same time, also answering constituent phone calls a lot, hearing them out, hearing actually what the people want. And then I put that into a memo, which goes directly to the senator. So the senator knows what his constituents care about and can kind of work on that type of legislation.
Awesome. And Professor London, are there any resources that you and the other staff in the program have to sort of support students in applying for and looking for these types of internships?
Yeah, absolutely. So when students apply, we immediately start pushing information out to them and providing support and structure to the internship search. So students are not left on their own to do the internship search. We work with them on their resumes and cover letters to make sure they're DC ready. There is kind of a DC expectation about how your materials are going to look and sound, and we have a lot of experience doing this. So we work closely with students to make sure that they're going to be highly competitive for these highly competitive internship opportunities. So we keep track of when internship opportunities open and what deadlines are. And every week we push a list of open internships out to students and provide, some guidance on how to keep track of what you're doing, and really just encourage students to apply widely. So you might have a narrow interest that you're really interested in, but we want you to apply broadly, because very often students don't get their first choice, but they do end up in an internship that they have these kinds of amazing experiences that they didn't necessarily anticipate having. So we work with students to support them. We don't have placement possibilities, right? We can't kind of place you in an internship. Ultimately, getting an internship is up to you, because these are open processes and competitive processes, and people apply and are evaluated. That said, Maxwell has a brand name. We've been around for a long time. Our students are excellent, as you can see here from Nathan and Kat. And there are people out there all over DC who are kind of waiting to see what the next batch of Maxwell applications is, right? They're waiting for that because they know the quality of our students. They know that they're well prepared, well motivated, that they're excellent, professionals, young professionals. And so we have a lot of connections, a lot of network connections. We work really hard and do a lot of outreach and try to get to 100% placement rate. And so, it is a process. It's a lot of work. Students have to be committed to doing the work, but it's not unsupported. We provide all the support that we can to try to make sure that students land these kinds of amazing opportunities and then have good experiences while they're in the internship.
Nathan and Kat, do you have an estimate to maybe how many internships you ended up applying to after you were admitted to the program?
Yeah, I kept it in a really organized spreadsheet. I think ended at 43 applications, and out of that 43, it was only 3 acceptances. Granted, it was a good acceptance, but it's definitely a tough process, but there's more you can do, I want to say, than just like apply. You can also use LinkedIn, see what Syracuse alumni work there, connect with them, just to kind of do more than just apply, email, do something that gets your name more out there than just kind of sending an application. But yeah, 43, only 3 acceptances, so it's a long process.
Yeah, I think I applied to, I want to say the number was around 30. I did not do 43. And I remember, I think my experience was a little bit unique, especially because I was here in DC at the time that I was applying, because I was working at a federal agency over the summer. So that made my process look super different, just because I really had a lot of insight and I had like supervisors there, that were like being very, very helpful. But I think I applied to 3. I think I interviewed at like 8 or something, and then I ended up getting like 3 offers, and I was happy with them, but ultimately I'm very happy with where I ended up. So it's just been a very rewarding experience. And also like I think what was really helpful for me was having applied to past internships, both in Syracuse and like having gone through like the DC application cycle for the summer. My like cover letter and resume and like all my application materials have gotten like light years better in just, continuing to apply and seeing what works. And I think that this experience has also been a practice in how to apply and how to really market yourself as a professional when you're, first stepping out into the professional world, if that makes sense.
I mean, our program emphasizes skills, and job search is a skill, right? You're not going to be you're going to be a beginner when you go out on your job search, not an expert, right? So the more practice you have, the more preparation you have, the better you're going to be able to do it. And so the internship search is a lot of work. It's hard, but it is also socializing you into the kinds of things that you're going to need to do to have a really successful job search down the road when that time comes, right? So this is kind of a model for the job search post college.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I think really being able to use, Washington, our nation's capital, as a sandbox, but also as a learning tool. And so there's just some snapshots, obviously, of some previous classes. Again, anything from field trips to having guest speakers come into class as well. Nathan and Kat, though, anything else you guys have done that's sort of outside the classroom? Maybe any interesting museums, events, White House garden tours you've been to this time of year?
Yeah, we've done quite a bit. We did get that White House garden tour. One of our friends interns there and got us some passages really lovely. Also, the orientation for this program is absolutely amazing. It really bonded everyone really quickly. My personal favorite, but I'm a little biased, was the American History Museum Smithsonian. Why I'm biased? Because we had a little scavenger hunt competition, and I get a little toxic competitive when it comes to competition. So I might have had my team running across the Smithsonian to really get all the points. And as deserved, my team won. So it's pretty great. But yeah, I think DC, the orientation, even just the free events, there's the holiday markets right now. I love Christmas, so it's been great to go to those. It's just full of these free events you can do, really accessible, and just kind of just have the time of your life while you're here.
Was this
Yeah,
you happy
I
about?
did not enjoy the museum, but it was because I lost and I also got really competitive. So next time I should have really been on Nathan's team. I think we probably would have won if we were together. But yeah, like he said, I want to echo all that. I also know like it's really cool to have DC as your campus, but like only for one semester. There's like a ton of like great like coffee shops and like events. Like I know there was like a street kind of fair. It was like huge, like one of the first months that my roommates and I were here. And then we also, I really like the holiday markets. There's a ton of like cool networking events that happens. Like, so there were some Syracuse ones that we got to attend. Like I know there was one, like we have a brand new building, in like the DuPont Circle area, which is a really nice neighborhood here in DC. And there was like a rooftop like reception. It was really, really cool. And it's awesome because they just like invite all the alumni, but then those alumni are people that you can like network with. So it's both like good practice in a more comfortable environment and also just kind of fun to talk with alumni. So that was really cool. The White House garden tour was honestly probably top of the list. And then another top of my list was when Nathan gave me a tour of the Capitol and, brought me around. His tour is really good. He wasn't just bragging to brag. He knows everything about the Capitol. So it was awesome. But there's just so many opportunities here. You can really do whatever you want to do whenever you want to do it. So yeah.
Sounds like a lot of fun. All right. And then finally, some of the more logistical details associated with the program. So the program is traditionally offered in both the fall and spring semesters. And if I'm not mistaken, Professor London, did I hear that maybe soon to be offered in the summer as well?
Yeah, we're starting this summer with the summer semester program as well. So for the first time, students will be coming down and doing internships. They've always come down and done internships, but now we're going to sort of structure that, provide support, provide access to housing during the summer as well, and kind of provide more support than we ever have for the summer Washington students.
Awesome. So for those of you that are in the audience tonight, this program is mostly open to juniors and seniors, as well as a few what we call our super sophomores. Maybe if you're a sophomore, but you have junior standing. I think this is sort of basically to make sure that you have worked on the progress of your major or maybe your minor on campus, gotten a few of your gen eds, a lot of your credits out of the way first. And this program is also used as maybe more of a launch program. And so you heard both Nathan and Kat talking about how maybe they have some future internships lined up, or with Kat maybe approaching graduation, she's thinking about staying in the DC area perhaps. And so being able to use the experiences you have in DC through your networking, your internships, and of course through your coursework to then maybe use that to launch into a full-time offer or some sort of possibility after graduation as well. The selection process, I think Professor London also shared that we're welcoming a record 36 students from the Maxwell School this next semester in the spring. And so am I also correct? It's still the application form, a resume, and a single academic recommendation letter as well?
Yeah, it's a very simple application, 350 words, 500 words, and give us the name of a faculty member that we can email to get a recommendation. You don't even have to get the recommendation. So it's a fairly straightforward application process. We want to lower barriers to coming to DC. Like if students want to be here, we want you to have the opportunity.
Yeah. And then the great thing about this program, as well as with any of our Syracuse Abroad programs, is that your financial aid package will always travel with you. And so there is a slight $500 administrative fee associated with the program, as well as the housing costs. The program fee, in its essence, is really meant to help facilitate maybe some of your professional development or other events that the program might host throughout the semester. But then also, you'll all also be given a Metro Pass to be able to explore DC and the surrounding area. I know the apartments are in a really nice part of the city. Actually, Nathan and Kat, how are the apartments this semester? Amazing? 2 thumbs up, it looks like. Awesome. So the apartments, you're going to live with other Syracuse students that are doing the program at the same time as you, really getting the chance to explore the city all together. Also, again, through those lived experiences of your internships and your research or your coursework as well. Is there any additional sort of scholarships or financial aid that the program offers as well, Professor London?
There's a little bit of additional scholarship aid that we give out every semester. We are working with donors. I know the dean and the Maxwell Advisory Board is working hard to try to identify additional resources that we can use to support students. But students are going to be paying tuition whether they're on main campus or in DC. And like you said, the financial aid transfers, so those costs are more or less the same. You're going to pay for housing whether you're in Syracuse or in DC. It's maybe a little bit more expensive. Living expenses are a little bit more expensive, but by and large, a lot of the costs are transferable across main campus in the fall and the spring semester. And some of these internships now in DC are paid. And so some students are actually earning some money as well, which can help subsidize this. And so I won't go so far to say that the costs are just fungible from one to the other. There is probably some additional cost in coming to DC, but it's probably not as much as many people think.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think that just about wraps up the content we had to share with all of you. So Professor London, Kat, Nathan, thank you so much for providing some additional insight. And I promised we'd leave some time at the end for a few questions. So I've been sort of monitoring the Q&A as we've been going through. One question that I saw come up a couple different times, and Nathan, I think this one might be a good one for you to answer, is some students were wondering if they could do this program in DC for one semester, and then maybe also in a subsequent or following semester do a different study abroad program. I take it that is an experience that you are sort of going through right now. Could you maybe tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it definitely is what I'm doing. Literally right now, I'm doing DC this semester, and I'm doing abroad to Florence next semester. I kind of put it this way just so I don't have to worry about subletting housing, and I can just kind of do my whole junior year outside of Syracuse. It's really accessible, really easy. Just meet with your advisor, make sure that you will get your credits in. If you're doing whichever one you do first, like for me, I did DC first, obviously, the abroad office will help you even while you're in DC, get your visa done to make sure everything's on time. And yeah, it's really accessible, really easy. I've had no problems doing it, and I'm looking forward to going abroad next year, then being back in DC for the summer, and then back in Syracuse for the fall.
All right. Another one here. Pat, this one is for you. How do you balance internships and other things? I know you mentioned you were also majoring in the Newhouse program as well. So with all your requirements to sort of keep on top of, how do you really time manage effectively, especially in the context of the DC program?
Yeah, that's a great question. I know that something that's been super helpful for me has been, at least on an advising perspective, having a really solid plan coming into this semester. I was like a little bit over prepared my freshman year and decided to kind of make a 4-year plan of classes. And that 4-year plan has definitely changed. But that has been really nice from an advising perspective, being able to not advance, accomplish a semester here in DC while having a dual degree and dual major. So that was really helpful. And from like more of the time management internship perspective, um, I will say it's an adjustment. I know that like I have also been balancing a few extracurriculars back on campus. And so that has definitely been a little bit different because being here, you're just not in Syracuse, New York, and that just means you're a little bit disconnected. But I think that,
Yeah.
being very mindful and a good communicator can be something that goes miles when it comes to time managing. I know with my internship supervisor, I'm in a really large internship cohort. There's about 8 of us, and we are all balancing school and work. So being able to communicate like, hey, like I don't really have a lot of time this week. I have a bunch of school assignments. They're very understanding. And I know that's true for a lot of different internships because they do have students that intern for them every semester. So being really communicative and just kind of knowing what you need as a person, like there's going to be a lot of times where maybe I'm like, I need to go down to the study lounge and study tonight. Maybe I'm not going to watch a movie with my roommates. And that's something where those kind of intentional decisions of like, making sure you get alone time and making sure that you're time managing in the sense of giving yourself enough time to do things is super super important and has been really effective. And while I have been extremely busy while I've been here, it hasn't been a stressful busy. It has been like a fun and rewarding busy, which has been really nice.
The best kind. Professor London, a question about housing. Housing. If a student might have family in the DC area, would they be able to live with them during the semester, and still fully take part in the DC experience?
Yes, that's the one exception that we make. So if a student has a close relative, and by close relative, we usually mean a parent, an aunt or an uncle, a sibling, an adult sibling, we do allow students to opt out of our housing and live with that relative. But otherwise, we do require the housing for undergraduate students coming to DC. The housing is really good. We hear great things. We a very good vendor that's very responsive if there are any issues. They're very well located. They're safe. There is, there is security. And so we feel like it's important that it is a big city. We want students living in areas that are centrally located, relatively safe, close to amenities, and close to where classes are and things like that, metro accessible. So we want to exert a little bit of control over that. But we do have an opt-out.
Of course. Thank you. Another question for maybe both Nathan and Kat. Kat, you talked about this a little bit already, related to being involved in things like Greek life and other student clubs and everything else sort of back on campus. Have you found it easy to still manage your life maybe back here in Syracuse, as well as sort of what you're keeping up with down in this DC as well?
Yeah, I am super, super involved back on campus, and I know that Nathan is as well. So just to kind of give some insight into that, I'm currently in a club called Orange Siege, which is a first year leadership club. I'm currently in Next Gen, with which Nathan actually founded, and I'm currently running a speaker series, where we have public service professionals come in and talk about their careers in government, NGOs, all that kind of stuff. And I'm also in social Greek life. So that all of those connections have really honestly, you're away, so it's like a little bit different. It's kind of just like any other abroad program, but those connections have been just as strong. I know that that's been really helpful for me, especially with the Greek life aspect, is that a lot of my friends from that organization have actually done this program or doing this program, either next semester or hoping to do it down the line. So something that I've actually been doing is like, if I like see a company that I'll actually send them an internship if like I see it, or like things like that. So I think it's really easy to keep those connections and stay involved if you really want to. And it's something where those things, the great thing about them is that they'll be there when you get back. And those people and those communities, they don't go away just because you're away. In fact, it's even more special because you build your own little community here with the people that you get to come here with, and then you bring that community back. So you just kind of have more groups and more connections and more people that you have as a resource back on campus.
Yeah, I would say it's fairly easy to kind of stay connected, just remain conscious of it. I still stay connected with my next gen. I stay connected with Autothon. I'm a team captain there, helping raise money for the local children's hospital. When I'm on campus, I work for the admissions office, and even I've visited a couple of times. I always make sure to stop by, say hi to Chris and everyone there. Personally, I'm doing an independent study class with a professor at Syracuse while I'm in DC, for this research paper. So even in that way, you can just maybe if you find a professor who's willing to do a little independent study, get you some class done there. And she's one of my favorite professors. I keep in contact with her consistently. I see my advisors still on a daily through Zoom. So I still feel like I'm connected to campus. My friends come down just over Thanksgiving break. I had one of my closest friends live here for the week and just kind of hang out, showed her around, gave her a tour, and just kind of did all that. So it's pretty easy to stay connected back to campus academically and socially.
A question about internships. Do either of you maybe have any classmates that you could maybe share a little bit more information about if they have internships related to international relations, criminal justice, the law, sort of areas like that?
Yeah, I know off the top of my head, she was here actually in the program a few semesters ago, but a friend of mine actually did an internship at the DOJ, the Department of Justice. So that was really, really cool. I know that a lot of students are in the international space. I think a student right now works at the Institute of World Politics. There are students at CSIS. So there are a ton of opportunities here, especially if you're interested in international politics. I think a lot of that is just due to the fact that there's a ton of think tanks here, and there's also the federal government is the government that's dealing with international affairs, not necessarily the state and local governments. So there's a ton of opportunities. I don't like, I know that my firm is a law firm. We don't really handle the legal side of things, but there are a ton of law firms here in DC that do a variety of things, such as like government relations or just strictly law. So there's going to be a ton of opportunities here, for both of those things.
I know the same thing. The CSIS people, it's for the Center for Strategic and International Studies, one of the top international think tanks. We have two people who are there right now, who I'm sure would love to talk to you guys about their stuff. Even just go to LinkedIn, like I said before, you can always find Syracuse alumni. They're literally anywhere, any place you can possibly think of. There's probably some Syracuse alum there, and our alumni connections are super strong. We have events kind of consistently now here in DC for them. So even if you've never met them or even if they graduated like 30 years ago, 40 years ago, just reach out to them, send them a message on LinkedIn, and I'm sure they're going to be happy to help you find that criminal law internship or that international relations internship or just any internship you might want.
What has the I know you both have a mentor program that's sort of a part of the DC semester as well. Could you talk a little bit more about that and sort of what the benefits of that have been for you so far? I know, Nathan, we were talking about it earlier just before we started the call here.
Yes, I absolutely love my mentor. The DC program kind of assigns them to us. Mine, he is in government and regulatory affairs for IBM. He takes me out to dinner and lunch pretty often and kind of talk about my future. Because of him, spoiler, I'm not really too Capitol Hill focused anymore. I want to be more Capitol Hill adjacent and work in government and regulatory affairs. And he's been kind of helping me along the way, teaching me everything I need to know. He also is connecting me with some people in Micron and their government and relations department to get an internship with them for the summer. But he's just an amazing guy. I keep in contact with him almost every week now. I email him, talk to him. He sometimes comes to the Hill because he has a meeting there and then brings me along with his meetings. One of the best people I've ever met in this program. I'm so thankful that the Syracuse program connected me with him.
Yeah, my mentor, her name is Carolyn. She works at a company called Bracewell. She does a little bit more of the communication side, so that's been really cool to kind of learn about from her. And I know that really the benefit of the mentor program is like a starting point here in DC. So I know like I have Carolyn, which has been really amazing to connect with her and kind of like learn about her experiences. And then also like as an older student, I have like friends of mine who have already graduated. So a friend of mine currently works for the Senate Appropriations Committee as a professional staffer, and she's really been somebody who's been in my corner and, helping me network on the Hill and kind of really like I'll ask her questions like, "Hey, so like when do jobs become available?" Because the application cycle here is kind of strange and it's something where you kind of have to know the game a little bit. And so kind of being able to connect with people who, they can either be fresh or out of college, maybe 2 or 3 years, or somebody that's been in an industry for 20 years. These alumni in the network here, I think there's like something like 40,000 Orange alumni, like Syracuse alumni here, which is kind of a crazy number for just this area. But they are really that starting block and that kind of like inside person to be like, where do I start? I want to work in government. Like, first of all, what does that mean? What are my options? Like, these people are here to help you, and they are some of the friendliest people ever. Like, they really just want to see you succeed. Like, they want to know what dorm you lived in freshman year. Like, they want to know all the silly stuff. People are just really excited to have gone here. And like, I know like I'm a year out, but like I'm so excited to be that alumni too. And this school really just fosters like this community of wanting to give back to future students, which is just it's been so invaluable. And so like the mentor program is just like another manifestation of alumni really wanting to help you out in like every way possible.
Awesome. Well, in the spirit of Senate hearings and formality, if we could sort of a professional one, and I'll ask you first for maybe a little bit of a closing statement. How do you feel like the Maxwell program in DC is unique given the number of other schools and universities that inhabit the DC area, either full-time or on a semester basis as well?
I think the DC program is an incredible extension of a Maxwell education, a Maxwell Arts and Sciences, Syracuse University education. The Maxwell School is really a unique place. We have amazing faculty, amazing students. The programs are great on main campus, but if you can take that step to DC and really have the kinds of experiences that Nathan and Kat and other students are having here. I've been down here for about a year and a half. I've spent most of my career on main campus as a professor in the sociology department. I hear students telling me all the time that this is the best semester they had at Syracuse, that they got so much out of this, that this opened their eyes, it changed their mind about what they want to do moving forward. It gave them new tools to think about themselves and their futures. And I just can't say enough good things about the program. I didn't start the program. I'm not responsible for the program, but I kind of inherited it a year and a half and have been trying to, build it while I've been here. and make it even better. And I just can't say enough good things about this program. I think it's an amazing opportunity. I wish more students were taking advantage of it. And I hope maybe some of you will be enticed to come to Maxwell and ultimately Maxwell in DC at some point in your future.
Nathan and Kat, any final closing statements you'd like to make as well?
Yeah, I really thought when I was applying to college that I was going to end up at a DC school because, you get to be in DC and like, work here and all that stuff. And especially speaking with the other students that I interned with, which they go to like GW, Georgetown, American, like all of the DC schools. I'm so glad that I went to Syracuse because Syracuse, you really just get that college experience. You get a campus of your own, which is something that was really important to me when I was going to school. And I kind of just get like a slice of the city here, which is just an amazing thing to have. I get all the advantages and like the school spirit of getting to be at Syracuse and have like that campus. It's really just like the most beautiful place ever. Like I'm so excited to go back. But then I also get to be here and really learning about the city and working here and building my network. And like after this program, I am so much more confident in my ability to like get a job, which is really what you go to school for. So that's been awesome. And I just could not speak more highly of this program. I think that getting a semester here has just completely changed my college experience. And I would say that because we just kind of get a like one little semester of DC, I feel like I'm so much better off for it in general. And yeah, I can't recommend it enough. So
Yeah, I would say what really sets us apart is the faculty at this point. I talked to a lot of other students who are spending a semester here, and even though they may have like a semester here, they're kind of taking classes as normal like they would back on campus. But here, our faculty really gets us out of the classroom, gets us to these cool places, utilizes the space we're in instead of just doing another class inside a room, looking at some papers and a screen. And I really think that sets us apart. And once again, like I said, just the network you can do here, not even just vertical networking, but horizontal with our peers. Me and Kat are as close as ever. And I just know in the future, I can rely on her. She can rely on me. And that goes with everyone in this cohort. It really kind of cements that Syracuse alumni network. Sometimes I forget my backpack is like a walking Syracuse billboard. So I'll walk by and someone will be like, "Oh, you're from Syracuse?" And I'll say, "Yeah, we talk about it." There's like 3 people who are full adults living in this apartment. It's called Andover, who go to Syracuse and like looked at my backpack in the elevator and mentioned it. So it's been awesome. And they're always willing to help. And that's been so evident to me just by my alumni mentor, the friends I've made here, the faculty I've met here, and then just the public speakers I've met.
Awesome. Well, maybe you and Kat can serve as alumni mentors to some of our future students maybe on the call this evening. Well, once again, we'd like to thank all three. I'm sure a long day in DC to answer some questions and join us this evening. For everyone else, I included my email down there in the chat. So if you do have any further questions after our session tonight, or if you have any questions you'd like me to direct to either Professor London, Kat, Nathan, or any other folks associated with our DC program, please let me know. Don't hesitate to reach out. My email is bezdede@syr.edu. Again, I also included that in the chat there. But in the meantime, I hope you have a great rest of your evening. Go Orange and beat Georgetown. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thanks for coming, everybody. Good night.